some of these experiences, it seems like, at least from what I've heard, it seems like they are in the position of control, whereas humans usually are in the position like helpless.
So that's interesting that you said that. So until you're ready to interact with these beings and their realities in a grounded and mature way, then oftentimes there'll be certain protocol that's taken so that you can still observe and become aware and have evidence within your own life that these things are happening, but there's sort of a sense that you don't have as much free will or, as you said, control. And a lot of this has to do with two things. One, this protocol that's put in place on behalf of your higher self and on behalf of these beings that you're working with, so that you can retain some semblance of consciousness and absorb what you need to, but not get too carried away, so to speak. So that's one of those things. And the other reason why sometimes we have the experience that we're not in control actually has a lot to do with our beliefs within this reality of not being in control. So the more that, it always comes down to what you're doing in this reality. The more you transform your negative beliefs about yourself within this reality, the more creative control, the more clarity you have within these other realities. Not so much the other way around. It's very interesting. Is there anything? Yeah, anything you want to add to that?
Discernment is key even in this reality. Is like your ability to discern who you're interacting with and what that is. And the idea that realizing that if everything happens for a reason, so to speak, which a lot of people follow by that sort of terminology, or there's no coincidence or whatever. If you're looking at things from that perspective, then even experiences that you've had that are bad or don't necessarily feel good, they still serve a purpose, which is kind of what like he was mentioning, to like still affirm to you, and whether they're actually bad or not, who knows? You don't know. If you can't discern it, then you're not going to be able to know that, whether it's your own imparting of your own distortions upon that, or if it's something that's actually trying to mess with you. It doesn't really matter at that point, but there's always still something to learn from an experience that could be considered negative or bad, and for you to implement that for your own spiritual advancement, so to speak, or your own advancement of your own consciousness and your own lucidity. So in that same in spiritual community, and like I don't necessarily identify as spiritual, but I use the terminology because it's very relatable, that a lot of these experiences, even just here, as long as you have a positive outlook on a negative experience, you still gain something for your own self-actualization and realization. So even with negative experiences, whether we know who or what it is, because at the end of the day, we still have absolutely no idea. Like we're just like, do I actually know who he is? No.
Do I even know who I am?
Yeah. So we kind of we're in that state where we're serious, but we don't really take things too seriously. We
don't land anywhere. This is just how we've experienced it thus far. There seems to be some reoccurring components of these experiences, but in no way, shape, or form do we really need anyone to believe us, or are we trying to preach anything? If there's one thing that we're trying to preach, it's just love yourself, love everyone else, be of service to this planet and these people.
Open up to infinite possibilities.
Yeah, that's all.
But to get back into that, so at the end of it, it just becomes like, what can you do with the experience that you're having, whether it's spiritual and whether it's negative or positive? How are you choosing to react to those experiences, whether you know what's going on or not, because there's something that's multi-dimensionally orchestrated, so to speak, for all the experiences that anything and anyone is having, and that how you're twisting that for your own growth and advancement. So like I could say that, okay, I just had a really negative experience of a really creepy giant shadow thing, like paralyzing me and just creeping me out. And like, how can you be grateful for that experience? Like that's the trippiest thing that you could do, is like, how can you like actually genuinely feel gratitude for an experience like that? Because at the end of it, it's making you so much stronger into what you think you're capable of witnessing. Of like, okay, now I feel like I could stand in front of a giant monster dragon right here, and I could be firm and not afraid and be comfortable and content with a giant creepy monster staring me in the face. Like, there's benefits to that, and how you'll be able to hold yourself in a human experience even.
Absolutely, fully. I mean, a lot of people, I do a lot of private sessions with people, and they ask me all sorts of these types of questions. And what I find in the spiritual community right now, one of the biggest things when it comes to these experiences is that everyone wants to know about the negative reptilians or the negative ghouly, spooky, wooky, ghosty things, right? Everyone wants to know about those things, and they want to know how to defend themselves from, how to protect ourselves from evil. But here's the thing, and I say this time and time again to all the people that are watching this. When you love everything, there is no need to defend yourself. Because when you love everything, when you truly find it in your heart to love anything, there's no more fear within you. You only try to ward off evil when you're still afraid of evil. For him and I, we go into that. We want to go into that. We want to put ourselves, and we do this in our life, like we put ourselves in these somewhat chaotic situations so that we can really truly affirm that love is our only reality. And here's the paradox of that all, is that the more you try to keep things at bay, the more power they have over you. The more that you go into those things and confront them with love, then you become the one to harmonize with that thing and to show the darkness the light and to integrate those two things. So this idea of being fearless comes from love to all portions of consciousness, to whatever shape and form that they come in. And that is very, very deeply transformative when you apply that in your life. So to me, when people want to ask me about how to ward off evil reptilians, I'm like, why are you trying to do that? Why aren't you letting them in and loving them? And people don't want to go there, but I want to go there. And that's been the most transformative thing in my life,
so it's
really.
Like unconditional love. Unconditional love. What does that mean under any experiential circumstance? And pushing the limits of what that means.
I resonate that with a lot, because I feel that was my realization, that you have to be able to look at your shadow side and integrate that. That's also a part of your personal growth. Not just like keep growing, but also look at your downsides.
Absolutely. Well, and learning how to love those things, and to bringing those aspects of yourself back into wholeness.